Hey there, interwebs. I wanted to take a couple of minutes of your time today and basically just kind of talk about a story a situation that I'm actually dealing with right now. It's not tech related. That's why it's on my personal page and not on Geek with Glasses. But basically, to jump right into it, I recently made a move. For those of you who know or may not know, I moved about a month and a half ago into the home that I'm currently in. Back on April 7th, and I hired a moving company to come out and help me pack and to move my goods. You know, packing was kind of difficult with Leslie being pregnant, so we decided to bite the bullet and pay for packing services as well as moving services. And the moving company that I dealt with is all my son's moving, and they're all around the country. They have a lot of offices along the East Coast, specifically the Mid-Atlantic region. The office that I dealt with is based out of Richmond, Virginia, and this is all my son's moving. And the concerns that I have are twofold. So I had a move scheduled originally for 2 days. I called, spoke to somebody over the phone, explained, I had a 3-bedroom house with a finished basement office area, blah, blah, blah. They quoted me a 2-day move and basically said they would come out on Thursday and pack me and then come out and return on Friday to make the move. And this would avoid, overtime charges and that kind of stuff. And so we scheduled it for a Thursday pack and a Friday move. So movers show up on Thursday and they walk through the house and kind of take stock of what I've got and pretty much, come back and say, hey, this is no problem. This is a 1-day move. We've got this covered in 1 day. We'll take care of it and get you done in a single day. I said, okay, cool. So they got to work and we ran a little bit. They ran a little bit later than they expected to. I think primarily because one of the 3 movers spent 6 hours packing my kitchen. A total of 7 boxes took him 6 hours to pack. And I understand, having to wrap plates and cups and all that kind of stuff, but it was 6 boxes. It took an hour per box to pack. That was absolutely ridiculous. They could have got things packed a lot quicker if this guy was a little bit more efficient or just faster. But along with the 6 hours to pack boxes, some of the movers started to kind of do rush job towards the end, specifically when packing my kids' rooms and a couple of other things. They packed a couple of boxes that were insanely heavy. I mean, the movers were having difficulty moving them. They were packed so much. These tall boxes, 20 inches by 40 inches tall, were just packed so heavy that, they were double teaming these boxes to get them into the house. And obviously, with Leslie being pregnant and my issues with my back, I try not to lift things over 50 pounds. Besides the point. So one of the quick stories regarding the very unprofessional packing job is my kids have a lot of Legos, and they've got these little plastic tubs that have lids that they keep all their Legos in. There's probably about 6 or 7 of these tubs filled to the brim with, thousands upon thousands of Legos. And instead of just taking these plastic containers and putting them in the boxes, they actually popped the lids open and just dumped hundreds of thousands of free-flowing Lego bricks into a moving box on top of other toys. All of them. So I had these 5 plastic tubs empty that they hand carried over, and all of the contents were just thrown in a big box on top of other toys. Some of the toys got broke, some of the toys didn't. Toys being broken were not that big of an issue. However, there were some other issues when the mover showed up at my new home to place boxes. They weren't paying attention at all and kind of put boxes all over the house. They put boxes that needed to be on the second floor in my basement, and they were super heavy. I had to actually call my dad over to help me move some of these boxes upstairs because I couldn't get them. And there was a lot of boxes that were just not placed in the right rooms, and we had to shuffle boxes around for days just to get things unpacked. We had no idea where anything was. They didn't label anything, and the few things that they did label, even if it said kitchen on it, we found them in the master bedroom. So it was very annoying when it came to trying to unpack. So that kind of went into the lack of professionalism in packing. And I originally wrote a letter to the movers and discussed, I talked about it with my family and I talked about it with my friends, and I paid a pretty decent chunk of change for the moving component. And, after showing some of the photos of the level of quality of packing that they did, I got the same story from everybody that I talked to, friends, coworkers, and family, saying you could have hired a couple teenage kids down the street for a quarter of the cost and they would have done the same type of a packing job. And so I originally wrote a complaint letter to the owner of the company, saying, hey, this is what happened. We had movers that were very unprofessional. They quoted me a time. They went over the time. They did a speedy job. They didn't place boxes where they needed to be. So basically I was asking for a portion of the packing fees as a refund just because it was completely crappy. I spent, days unpacking my goods and having to go and bust open boxes all over the place and figure out where things went. A majority of my stuff ended up in the basement that was clearly marked baby's room or master bedroom or kid's room. So I had asked for a little bit of the packing fee back, which I got zero response to, nothing at all. So then a couple days after the move was completed, I started, getting the house in order, and I started finding goods, expensive goods that were broken. I had a leather chair that I'm sitting on right now that's got 3 or 4 scratch marks and a big puncture wound. And actually, my wife made a comment to one of the guys moving it because she was just like, what the heck happened to the chair? And the guy was like, don't worry about it. Just file a claim. They'll pay it. I had a whiteboard scratched up. I had a bunch of small odds and end type things that were broken. I have there was a shelf on one of my dining room set that's been completely cracked. The wood is like broken in half. And most importantly, my washing machine was completely destroyed. So we had to we were trying to get the washing machine unhooked from the hot water and cold water at the old house, and I had to run down and get a set of pliers because we couldn't get them. They were fused on pretty good. So they put the dryer on the truck first. And then the mover came in, and we got the washer unhooked, and the mover grabbed the washing machine, put it on the the hand truck, out to the truck, and literally manhandled the washing machine. It was a pretty impressive feat of strength. He literally picked the washing machine up, completely inverted it, and stuck it down on the dryer, and then proceeded to jam it up against the wall on top of the dryer to get a nice tight, packing in the truck. It was one of the last things to put on. Well, due to the inversion of this, about 3 days after I moved in, I decided, hey, I need some laundry done. I need my sheets done. I need clothes washed, so on and so forth. So I throw a load of laundry in the washing machine, and all of a sudden I hear funny sounds, and I look down, and I've got soapy water spilling out all over my floor. So I'm like, okay, stop the washing machine. Call the repair guys. Sears is where I bought it. The repair guy comes out. Cost me $129 to have him come diagnose it. He looked at it and asked what happened. And I said, guy put it upside down on the moving truck. And he said, did the guy not see the big red sticker on the back of the washing machine that said, do not invert? And I was like, what? And he showed it to me, and I was like, great. So due to this inversion and mishandling of my washing machine, the tub was cracked. The drive bar that's in the center of the washing machine that spins was bent, and the actual drive chain, the transmission that drives the engine, being inverted, the oil all leaked out of it. So a few of the bearings popped and were burnt out when I turned it on, trying to get it to work. So I had, these 3 things damaged to the washer, and I had already paid $129. It was going to cost $760 some bucks, or darn near $800 to have my washing machine replaced. And I was like, forget it. Don't replace it. I can go buy a new one for probably a lot cheaper. So he charged my $129. I called up all my son's insurance movers and made my claim and submitted it out, took photos, did everything that I needed to do. Basically, all I claimed was my leather chair, my whiteboard, and my washing machine. A couple of days later, I hear back from the claims department that they won't pay for anything. Nothing's be covered. By the way, I went out and I bought a brand new washing machine at Sears. They were having a sale. I think I got a brand new washing machine for like $500. So I saved $200 as opposed to having it fixed. And boy, am I glad at this point in time. So they won't pay any of the claim. And here's why. So I have a contract from these guys, and they're basically, I filed my claim. They said nothing. I talked to the insurance adjuster at the department, and they said, you signed the dotted line. I said, okay, explain to me what the dotted line was. And so right here's the dotted line. The dotted line is right here on the contract. And, when you're at the house, the movers are there, and they're like, hey, you got to initial these things before we can get to start working. And he says, sign this one that covers this, sign this one that talks about that, sign this one that talks about that. And they get down here to this line about insurance. And basically, the guy explains to me, he says, hey, this is stating that you understand our insurance, and that we will pay you for any damaged goods, if there are any, once the move is complete. Sign the dotted line. And let's be honest, none of us actually read every one of these words before we sign, because we're standing there, we're eager for the work to get started, we just want to get things done, and we all know that if we don't sign, they won't work. Big mistake. So the big mistake comes into when you read this, and I'm going to read this out loud real quick. It says, a $250 deductible applies to all aspects of the move. Should any item be scratched, cracked, gouged, rubbed, or repaired by an expert, the shipper will pay the first $250. Something that can't read will be released at a standard valuation of 60 cents per pound per article, or extended valuation of purchased prior to the move. That's what the line says. So in plain English, what that line means is that they're going to value my goods at 60 cents per pound. and you have to reach $250 based on that 60 cents per pound before they will pay a claim. They'll pay a $250 deductible, and then the claims for your damaged goods will be paid out. When you do the math, 60 cents per pound to reach $250 deductible comes out to 419 pounds. So 419 pounds worth of personal property has to be damaged in order for them to reach a $250 deductible that they will pay the insurance company that they have, and then the insurance company will pay me for the reimbursement of those goods. My chair, which cost me $250, weighs maybe 40 pounds. My whiteboard, which cost me $50, probably weighs 4 pounds. My washing machine, which cost me $500, probably weighs 100 pounds. Maybe, let's just tip the scales and say it's a beast of a washing machine and it's 200 pounds. You see where I'm getting here. These 3 items that I put on my claim did not reach 419 pounds worth of damaged goods. So basically they said, we're not obligated to pay you anything. So I get a little bit upset, and I was like, wait a minute, let me try to understand this. And I actually did the math and came up with the numbers that I just told you. And I explained it to them that way. I said, so you have to damage 420 pounds of my goods before you'll pay me anything. And she said, that's one way of looking at it. And I'm like, okay, cool. One of the very last line also says, per article or extended valuation if purchased. So I was never explained that they had an optional insurance that I could have bought to cover my goods. I don't know what the fee would have been, but even if it was $300, $400, it would have been less than $129 plus $588, $528. I don't remember the exact numbers. It was under $600 for the new washing machine. To replace that washing machine, and I obviously haven't replaced my chair, so these things are all broken or damaged, and I'm dealing with it because 60 cents per pound, 420 pounds worth of goods. This is, pardon my French, but bullshit. The fact that this company can completely destroy a 100% functioning, working, and excellent condition washing machine and not have any liability because it didn't weigh 416 pounds. So I got frustrated. I thanked the lady for her help. A couple days later, I called back and I spoke to the owner of the company. And I basically explained the same thing. And his answer was, I'm willing to give you $150. And I asked him, I said, do you honestly think $150 covers $700 for my diagnostics fee and my washing machine? And he said, I'm sorry, but I'm going above and beyond what is required by me to give you that $150. And I said, so let me paint a picture real quick. What you're telling me is I could have had a box of laptops. So I've got 3 laptops in this room. So let's say all 3 of those laptops were dropped and broken beyond repair. I've got a $2,000 Mac. I've got an old $1,500, Dell D820, and I've got my work computer, which you can see right there. It's a E6410. They're all roughly $2,000 laptops. Well, they all only weigh about 2 pounds. So they could have dropped a bag, or whatever case may be of all 3 of these laptops, completely destroyed them. But because they come to a total, grand total of 8 pounds, 6 pounds, they wouldn't be responsible for replacing the laptops at all. That's bull. That's absolute, complete crap. They don't explain to you the additional insurance that you can buy. So I don't even know what that policy is. Had I known about it, I probably would have purchased it. And more importantly, it's just straight up, it's a moral here. You guys moved a washing machine that was in perfect order, not to mention, so I actually have an affidavit, from the repairman that came out from Sears. He didn't believe me when I told him that the washing machine was 5 years old, because it was in such perfect shape. I take care of my stuff. I mean, there was no dirt, there's no scratches. The thing was in excellent condition, other than the fact that the guts were completely destroyed due to mishandling by the movers. He actually gave me his personal phone number and said, hey, look, if they don't pay it, please feel free to call me. I will vouch for you that this washing machine was in better than new condition, other than the internal workings, that you could tell that it was in perfect shape. So I got frustrated. I thanked the owner for his $150 option, and I politely said thank you. So I proceeded to the Better Business Bureau. And I contacted the Better Business Bureau. I put in my complaint, and my complaint has nothing to do with the original email that I wrote talking about the lack of professional service and that I'd like some of the money back on the pack that they did not do very well. And it literally just addresses, that's this letter right here, it just addresses the amount of money that I paid. I paid $129 for the diagnostics to determine damages, and I paid $559.49 for a new washing machine. So the cost the cost of me to replace my washing machine was $688.49. Had I had it repaired, the cost would have been $758.04, and I'm very glad I didn't pay to have it repaired at this point. I got a better washing machine. but I'm out this money. So, that was the complaint, filed with the Better Business Bureau. They came back and they basically said, the owner has spoken with Neil Perrin, blah, blah, blah. We've made attempts to go beyond our contractual obligations, blah, 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 60 cents per pound, blah, blah, blah. We are willing to increase our settlement to $250. So I wrote back and politely said, thanks, but that doesn't cover $600. They wrote back and said, our final offer will increase to $350. And I was sitting there, I was like, okay, we're going to sit here and go back and forth all day long with the Better Business Bureau. So I made a decision and thought, okay, you know what? Fine. I will settle for $500 and no less. Give me $500. So basically I'm eating roughly $50 of the new cost and the fee to have it diagnosed. Give me $500 of my 650 some bucks back. And they basically denied it. They said, no, we've gone beyond our contractual obligations. We're willing to pay you $350. So the Better Business Bureau decided that it was a closed case, that they're, and the Better Business Bureau says you'd be amiss if you didn't seek legal action if you were continuing this matter. So that's the situation that I'm having. If you're going to have your stuff moved by professional movers, ask questions about the insurance that they're willing to give you. One other thing that's very, not easy to understand is the $250 deductible. When I originally saw this, when the damages were done, I looked at it and I was like, okay, so I'm going to pay a $250 deductible, and then they'll pay me my goods. They'll pay me the damaged goods. They'll give me $250 for the chair. They'll give me the 600 some odd dollars that it cost for me to replace my washing machine. Everything will be cool. So write me a check for $250 less than the amount that I originally claimed on my original file with the insurance company. So the whole thing is very convoluted. If you're going to pay for insurance, get them to spell it out in plain English. One of the things I asked the guy was, I told him was like, you did not give this to me in plain English. You gave me this very convoluted line. And the guy says, well, I apologize, sir, but I completely understand what it is that line says. And I respectfully looked at him and not looked at him when I was on the phone. I respectfully replied. I said, look, I understand that you know what the nomenclature of this sentence is. But basically, this is your business. Of course you know what this means. And, I quickly threw out an example about a computer-related issue and told him, hey, did you understand anything I just said? And he said, of course not. And I said, exactly. I would have to explain to you what I just told you in plain English. This is broke, that's broke, I'm going to do this to fix it. If I was doing computer repair for the guy. And he basically just refused to accept any of the arguments that I had. His whole argument was, you signed the dotted line. My argument was, I didn't understand the dotted line. And secondly, had I been told, we will personally have to break 420 pounds of your goods before we will pay you anything, I probably would have politely declined and called somebody else and said, hey, let me, can I get a quote for a move? So anyways, I just think it's absolutely atrocious that business can be done this way. I think it's absolutely an abomination that this company is getting away with this on a regular basis. So I wanted to put out a video just to give you guys some education. Stay away from all my son's movings. They're shysters. I'm not going to call them scam artists, but in a way they are scam artists. They put one little line and they expect you to understand the verbiage, and then they get away with damaging all of your goods. They could have broken stuff that's irreplaceable, and not had to have paid me one red penny for it. So yeah, that's it. That's my complaint. That's my gripe for the day. Thanks for sitting through the entire thing and listening to my entire gripe. But watch yourselves if you're going to go out there and buy goods or buy moving services, because you could end up being out quite a bit of money. So anyways, I'll let you know how things are going. I'm actually going to go down to the courthouse and file a small claims court. It's going to cost me like $50 to $60 to file the claim and then go to court and explain my side of the story with them in court. And we'll see what happens with the court. If, worst case scenario, I pay $50 for my claim and then I pay their $50 for their claim and I be done with it. But I mean, these guys need to understand that they can't just get away with stuff. It's absolutely atrocious. So thanks a lot for watching. Catch you later.